or absence.
Right. 2, to declare any declaration of interest. Right. 3 is to approve the minutes and sign them of the meeting held on 13th of October.
I will just, sorry, Chair, I'll just make councillors aware that the page numbers need to be updated. The folio numbers are incorrect. So the first page is down as 9608, that should be 9632, and then 9609 is 9633. So just to make you aware, that change would be made. Yeah.
Right. With those changes, is there any objections?
Nope.
Do you all agree?
Yes.
Right. We'll go on to item 4 then, to consider planning applications received from Rushcliffe Borough Council, and the first one is 20/02626 Full, the old railway yard, Chapel Lane, renew existing use of site as car wash with proposed additional car wash canopy. Who would like any comments?
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
Councillor Stockwood.
Councillor Stockwood, yes.
So we've all seen the car wash in operation now for some time. This is now asking for permission for continued use, and there's going to put a large canopy in the middle, a 10-metre long canopy, which is an open-sided sort of thing over 2 lanes of cars where they can do the washing away from the weather. So in light, and they've got got a plan for what to do if traffic does build up to a point where they're so popular that there's queuing on the road. They've got to drop the barrier that can be dropped down to stop people from turning in and asking people to move along and not block the road if they become that popular. So in light of the steps that have been taken to address traffic issues and the fact that the business has been in process for some time and seems to have been quite successful without any problems reported to me as a ward member, I would suggest that we have no objection to this.
Is that the view of you all?
I agree.
Yeah. I did manage to see some of this one, and I don't have any objections.
Do I have proposed and seconded for no objection?
I'll propose it.
I think I'm happy to second.
Is that the view of you all?
Yep.
Brilliant. We go next on to 20/02441, 21 Fisher Lane, erection of a conservatory.
Again,
Oh, sorry.
Councillor Wallace.
thank you, Chair. I'm very keen to talk about this one because this is one that I managed to look at, to be honest with you. It's a conservatory to the side of the house. It is in the conservation area, but there are 2 responses, one from and forgive me, I'm not sure if it's a councillor or an officer of the council who speaks in such matters, and she has no objection since it's largely not visible from the road, and there's nothing of there's no objection from the person who looks after the archaeological issues on the town site, and on that basis I don't think I've got any objection either. It seems pretty inoffensive to me.
Councillor Wallace, was it the conservation advisor, Rushcliffe Borough Council?
I think it was, probably was Councillor Shelton. I think it was, yes. Thank you.
Right. In view of that, any other comments?
I agree with that.
No, none from me.
Right. Do I have a proposer and seconder for this?
Again, I'm happy to propose.
I'll second it then.
Right. Are we all in favour?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
The next one is 20/02039 Full, 7 Wyverton Road, ground floor rear and side extension associated with internal and external alterations to include white rendering. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Councillor John Stockwood.
Thank you. So there was original plans for 7 Wiverton Road submitted a previous meeting. We considered it and we had no objection, but we had some comments because the neighbour at 5, because of the drop of the hill, which continues down Wiverton Road, the neighbour at 5 was concerned about the overbearing nature of any side extension at set number 7. Also raised concerns about the possibility of noise from an office in a converted garage, which he was concerned about. Looking at the amended plans, although there remains the white rendered frontage, which is of a particular style, it's now the case that the roof behind there is as a very, very low angle, so it wouldn't have much difference to the existing flat roof garage that's currently on site. The extension to the back is a short distance in from both sides, so I think the scheme, as before, and with the amendments, seems to be acceptable. We have commented in the past about residents' concerns, but it would appear that some of the residents' concerns are being addressed through the amended plans. So I think it would be no objection continued as before. Councillors can consider whether they want to continue to make the comments that were made before.
Councillor Wallace.
Thank you. I couldn't see the amendment to this plan, so I'm working largely from memory on this, because I do remember when it came before council at the previous meeting, and one of the objections, I think, from the resident at number 5 was that because it was a converted garage and it's a linked detached house, it effectively abutted onto his property. And I think there was some concerns raised about whether or not there might be noise raised in one premises that could be heard in the other. I'm doing that from memory, so I'm just worried in case it's the wrong application, but I'm fairly certain it is this one. The only comment I would make is that if that hasn't been addressed at in the revised plans, and I think we should just make a comment that there should be suitable insulation placed between the 2 walls to make sure that there's no erosion of the utility of the person at number 5.
Is there any other comments, councillors?
Nope.
No comment.
Clark, have you made a note of the Councillor Wallace's comments?
You're on mute, Shad.
I think she's muted.
Sorry, my apologies. Yes, I did make a note of Councillor Wallace's comment. Sorry about that.
Is it the wish of the councillors that no objection, but with the comment made by Councillor Wallace? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with
Yeah.
that.
Agree with that? All in agreement?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right, that one's with Councillor Wallace's comments.
Thank you.
Right, the next one we're going to is 20/20147 ADV, former Nottinghamshire Constabulary Police Station, 18 Grantham Road, display of 1 illuminated entrance sign and 1 entrance sign. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Councillor Lewis.
Councillor
If I may,
Stockwood, then Councillor Lewis.
I'll let Councillor
Okay.
Lewis have a go. It's fine.
Well,
Councillor Lewis, then.
all I was going to say was that I haven't had the opportunity of looking at the sign. I mean, an illuminated sign could be intrusive, depending on what it says, how big it is, and how brightly it is lit. But I suppose a nursing home needs some kind of a sign.
Yes.
I don't know why it needs to be illuminated on a public road, but I think I'd like to make a comment that we can't see why it should be illuminated. I mean, in what way does that add to the amenity of the town?
Councillor Stockwood, did you want to comment?
I was just going to give a brief summary of the application, saying that it's two entrance, two signs, one on either side of the access to the site. If you're familiar with the site, the access is off the Grantham Road. It's the existing access reused, I think, or moved slightly to the side. As far as I'm aware, the main sign is has a black brick built panel behind it with the undecided as yet name of the facility as a sign, and there is I presume an illuminated sign to guide people in and out of the site. So this is a site outside of the conservation area. The conservation area only goes up to just beyond. Well, it's the bank of trees next to the cemetery. It's a site where you've got quite a substantial gap between the actual traffic of the road and the entrance to the site, because remember there's quite a wide pavement, and then the building, the access is quite set back itself. So I wouldn't say myself that it's such a controversial development to have a entrance sign explaining what the facility is, unless you're suggesting that the illumination is so high that it's out of keeping with the residential area. But we'd have to recall that the nearest residential property to that frontage would be the back of Pinfold, who have quite substantial hedges. I mean, their main concern was the roof, the height of the building and the possible high roofs. It would be very hard for them to see through, because if you recall, the police station used to have brightly lit windows just to make it look busy, and a bit of a sign in the past, many years ago. So I would have to suggest that the entrance signs are a non-contentious issue where they are, and certainly when you think about what you've got in Aldi, next to very close and across the way from residential properties on Porchester, I think these signs will be much more discreet than what you get there. So I think it's an acceptable application myself. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Mrs. Maureen Stockwood.
Thank you. The borough does have a measure of candlelights that it goes by on illuminated signs, if we want to draw attention to the fact that so long as it fits that model that they do, it would be acceptable to me. Thank you.
With Councillor Maureen Clark.
Sorry, Councillor Maureen, could you say what the measure was? I didn't catch the name of it.
Candleless.
Candleless, thank you.
Yes.
A great word.
I know. I've heard that word before. Thank you.
How many candles you've got?
Thank you.
Councillor Lewis?
Yeah, could I say, Mr. Chairman, that I agree 100% with what Councillor Maureen Stockwood has suggested, and if we do have some kind of a protocol that we expect people to adhere to when putting up illuminated signs, then that would be a good proviso to add, I presume by way of a comment. So I'd like to support that.
So with that referral to Councillor Mrs. Maureen Stockwood's comments, are you all in agreement that this one goes through?
Agreed.
Agreed with comments.
Agreed.
Right, we go to the next one, which is 20024644, full 20 Carnarvon Place, Bingham. Construction of single-storey front and rear extension, ramp for front access.
Councillor Stockwood.
Councillor Stockwood.
So there is a line of a short row of properties along Carnarvon Place. At the eastern end, there's a big sweeping bend around a grass verge, and there's a short row of properties, one of which in the middle is 20 Carnarvon Place. These properties are connected in a row, but they're two-storey properties, and in between each property there is a short single-storey element, which is possibly the past. It was the coal house or the outside toilet, but there is these flat roof single-storey elements at the side of each property. The 20 Carnarvon Road changes, although it is a front extension and a slight rear extension, they are single-storey, and the nearest part of the next property is then the similar flat roofs side single-storey element to the next property along, which has no habitable windows as far as I can say facing this extension. It's clear from the design that with a ramp to the front access that this is a property being adapted for lifetime living, that somebody's wanting to be able to live it ground full or level without steps. It's always an emotive subject when we consider wanting to support people adapt their properties to continue to live or to be as independent as they can be. But I do think that when considering all the planning issues, that this property is acceptable, because it would not, although it is a front extension, it would not have an impact on the neighbouring property, which admittedly is very close up to the edge as well. But because the nearest part of the neighbouring property is, there's no windows facing this front extension, it's a side single-storey element to the next property. I honestly think that it's within something that would be appropriate and not too out of keeping with the street scene, considering it's well set back from the actual street with the grass verge. So I think this would be something we could not object to. Do
you have any other comments?
No. I wasn't, my apologies, Chair, I wasn't able to see this one, but there's nothing that Councillor Stockwood has said that gives me any cause for alarm, so I'm inclined to agree with him.
Do we all accept this application?
Yes.
I'm happy to move, no objection.
Right. The last one we have, I believe, is 20/027-024. Cooperative Group 35 Marketplace Bingham, installation of new planned equipment.
Councillor Stockwood.
Councillor Stockwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So councillors perhaps familiar with Co-op. This is the applicant. It's in the Market Square. It's very large. At the back there is a lot of refrigerator units which hum throughout the day. This is an addition of a small unit on the southwest, to the southwest of the building. So and it's set down at a low level so that it wouldn't be, it's not raised up on the roof as in previous units that they've had installed. So the main, it wouldn't be very visible from the conservation area. If you think about that corner of the Co-op, you've got that rather unsightly metal loading bay, metal gate fenced loading bay, and at the back of there, beyond there, you wouldn't even, it's very difficult to see in this unit from the conservation area. So it's not an impact on the visual amenity of the area around. The issue that comes up in my mind from reading through the report was that the noise impact survey is primarily focused on the impact on the residential, nearest residents being a property on Longacre and their greenhouse, because the Longacre properties stretch all the way down to the back of the Co-op. Past the Chinese restaurant's car park, there's a property and that's has got a long garden there. To my recollection is that there was a planning permission for a side door and some form of residential accommodation at the top of Mees, or the building facing onto the street where Mees is, has been an electrical store for some time. So I have no objection to a planned equipment on the basis it has no impact on the visual amenity of the conservation area. But when a noise report talks about a property at Longacre, I would think the most immediately affected residential property needs to be considered is perhaps the residential development above Mees. So I would ask that councillors consider no objection, but with a comment that we would question that the noise impact should be, taken into account if there is a residential accommodation above Mees. If I've misunderstood the Mees application and it's from some time ago, that's probably an error on my part, but I think that would be the only comment that I would raise regarding this application.
Any other comments, councillors?
Councillor Wallace, please.
Councillor Wallace.
Thank you. And again, I must thank Councillor Stockwood for giving me a brief on that, because I couldn't see this one, and this is one that actually did cause me a bit of concern, primarily around the prospect of some noise from plant and equipment. I wondered if I could just ask, has there been an actual objection from any of the residents in the area? And apologies, I would have checked if I could have got online, but I'm not sure. If there's been no objections, then I think I would just take Councillor Stockwood's comments and endorse them. Mr. Chairman, point of information, I'm not aware that there's been an objection from the nearby resident, but I'm assuming that thing above that was built at the side of Mees is an entrance to a residential accommodation. I don't know whether it's in occupancy at the moment or what the arrangements are. So just on a planning matter, I think it's appropriate to comment, make sure that the noise report is considering all relevant nearby residences. Agreed. Thank you.
I have one comment, and that is that we talk about Long Acre, but what about Union Street, which there's residential properties there as well?
Right.
But other than that, with those comments, is that the committee in agreement with this application subject to those comments?
Yes.
I'll support that, yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Okay. Did you get that, Clark?
Mike.
You're on mute again.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
Right. In that case, then, we move to item 5 on the agenda, to note the notice of planning decisions from Rushcliffe Borough Council. And then item 6 is correspondence received. Clark, probably would like to go over that one, please.
Yes, it's a letter just to confirm that the borough is not going to put any TPOs on the trees that have been proposed for reduction in the conservation area. So it's just to make.
At 17 Fisher Lane, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that case, I declare them. Nothing else. I declare the meeting closed at 19:23.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Francis, you're disconcertingly still on those